Barbara, when I get ready to switch the gavel, I'm going to send it to you. Okay?
Okay.
Okay? All right. So this is January 20th, 2020. To conduct this meeting wholly electronically and to effectuate both the emergency procedures authorized by FOIA and the emergency ordinance, this board needs to make certain findings and determinations for the record. It's a bit cumbersome, so I ask you in advance for your patience. First, because each member of this board is participating in this meeting from a separate location, we must verify that a quorum of members is participating and that each member's voice is clear, audible, and at an appropriate volume for all of the other members. Accordingly, I am going to conduct a roll call and ask each board member participating in this meeting to state your name and the location from which you are participating. I ask that each of you pay close attention to ensure that you can hear each of your colleagues. Following this roll call, we will vote to establish that every member can hear every other member. So this is Mary Lipsey from Bragg District in Springfield, Virginia. Barbara? Barbara, you're muted. I did not hear Barbara.
Barbara Peters, Annandale, Virginia. I apologize.
That's okay. Carol?
Carol, McLean, Virginia.
Carol, could you state your full name?
Carol Herrick, McLean, Virginia.
Thank you. Esther?
Esther McCullough, Sully District.
Ann Barnes? Could not be here. Elise Murray? I do not hear Elise. Cheryl Rapetti? Cheryl, you are muted.
You're supposed to be able to unmute with the space bar, but anyway, Cheryl Rapetti, Sully District.
And Phyllis Ford?
Phyllis Ford, Clifton, Virginia.
Thank you. At this point, I will pass the virtual gavel to Barbara Peters so that I may be heard to make the requisite motion. I move that each member's voice may be adequately heard by each other member of this board. Do I have a second?
Second.
The second was made by
Esther.
Esther. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Second, having established that each member's voice may be heard by every other member, we must next establish the nature of the emergency that compels these emergency procedures. The fact that we are meeting electronically, what type of electronic communication is being used, and how we have arranged for public access to this meeting. Therefore, I move that the state of emergency caused by the COVID-19 pandemic makes it unsafe for this board to physically assemble and unsafe for the public to physically attend any such meeting, and that as such, FOIA's usual procedures, which require the physical assembly of this board and the physical presence of the public, cannot be implemented safely or practically. I further move that this board may conduct this meeting electronically through dedicated telephone line, and that the public may access this meeting by calling 1-844-621-3956. Password 179-231-2568. It is so moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
That was Cheryl that seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 The motion passed. Finally, this next. Okay, we're getting an echo if someone can unmute. All right. Finally, it is next required that all of the matters addressed on today's agenda must address the state of emergency itself, are necessary for continuity in Fairfax County government, and or statutorily required or necessary to to continue operations and the discharge of this board's lawful purposes, duties, and responsibilities. It's, if is so moved, do I have a second?
Esther
Second, Herrick.
seconds.
Okay, Esther seconds. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, I believe that we are ready to begin. Am I correct, Denise?
Yes, you are, Mary. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Get your
So-
gavel.
May I return?
Oh, I need to do, yeah, thank you very much for returning the gavel. All right, there's just two matters to discuss, and that is the text for the marker for Carrolltown. Before we begin, I want to thank Phyllis for her work on this, and also Maddie McCoy of the Slave Inventory Database, who helped me do some research and all at the Circuit Court courthouse records. This is a rewrite of the original marker that what came originally as a request of a county resident, and former marker chair Deb Robeson had worked on it, and then I picked it up, and we have worked on it together. So what I would like to do is, first of all, in the way that Jack Hiller taught me, is to read the marker aloud. Then we will discuss any questions you may have or any suggestions for changes, and then hopefully approve it. And then we need to talk about the motions that will be brought before the History Commission, including the finances for the marker. So I'm going to read it aloud unless you would like me to share it on the screen. Is it all right? We go with reading it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. The title is Carrolltown. Between 1899 to 1903, George Carroll purchased 120 acres adjacent to the original 10 acres bequeathed to him by Dennis Johnston, owner of his mother, Jane. By 1918, Carroll had sold 51 acres to family, including the Kelly, Baker, Carter, Harris, Horrid, and Carroll families. The prosperous community, Carrolltown, that developed nearby consisted of numerous extended family units. These families, who were committed to the community's success, donated lumber from Carrolltown to build both the Laurel Grove School and church. Children from these original families attended the school. George Carroll was a respected community member, a licensed business owner, and a trustee at the Laurel Grove Church. All right, do we have any suggestions, corrections, comments?
I noticed it's 106 words. What's the idea for saying that children attended the school?
Phyllis, you want to address that? You're muted, Phyllis. Phyllis, you're muted. There you go. There you go.
The families helped build a school. And that was those kids were part of the community that went to the school.
Would it be misunderstood without that sentence? When you assume those children went to that school?
Only if you knew that school was there, yes. Is it the number of words?
Mary,
Well,
you're muted.
Mary, do we need 100? Or can we have 100? Mary. Where did you go?
Yeah, we lost her video.
Am I here?
Well, we can hear you, Mary. We can't see you at the moment, but we can hear you.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Don't ask me what's happening.
My concern, this is Esther, my concern was the number of words. Is
Right.
106 acceptable?
It's a little bit over, and my suggestion possibly is to say children from Carrollton attended the school. That would eliminate 3 words. Or 2 words, excuse me. That would bring us down to 104. Children from Carrolltown attended the school.
Is that okay, Phyllis?
You're muted again.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that okay? Okay, I'm not hearing. Is that all right to change the sentence?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, question about the community. I noticed in the original, it said Kingstown Village Parkway is where the old general store was.
Right. We have no evidence of there being a general store in Carrollton.
Okay, so we're only concentrating on the school and church that we know about.
And the community of Carrolltown.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion?
So the community of Carrolltown is separate from Laurel Grove.
Yes. About 5 miles different.
Okay.
One's out on the Kingstown Parkway, the other was on Beulah Street, closer into Franconia Road. Am I right, Phyllis?
It's Beulah Street is close to the Franconia Springfield Parkway.
Right.
It's between the Parkway and Franconia Road. The Carrolltown is bordered by Kingstown Village Parkway and Hayfield Road and Old Telegraph Road.
So Laurel Grove School and church are separate from Carrollton town. Why do we mention them?
Because go ahead. Well, I'll just speak and let Phyllis add. The families of Carrolltown are the ones who started the church and school.
Can we say also? You say both the Laurel Grove School and church, but it doesn't flow from anything else. Can we say lumber from Carrolltown was also used to build the Laurel Grove School and church?
I don't know if that would necessarily clarify anything.
Well, it just seems confusing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that you need the word both in there.
In other words,
So that'll eliminate an additional word. And I think the other thing that confused me a little bit, just in terms of what we were talking, communities and the like, is that you talk about Dennis George Carroll donating selling land to different families, And then you say that the prosperous community, Carrolltown, developed nearby. So he doesn't actually, those family sites are not Carrolltown. Or are they?
Yes, they are.
They are.
Yeah, they are. If you look at the partition deed of partition, you will see all the listed names, the families that he sold to them. That is from his property. So that is the original.
I understand that he partitioned his, that his property was partitioned and all of those families resided there. I'm saying, is that the same place physically as Carrolltown? Is that,
Yes,
are those the families that formed Carrolltown at that location?
yes,
Because you use the word nearby, and it makes me think that, there was these groups of families and this property, and then someplace else close
Okay.
by became
Right.
Carrolltown. So,
I guess what we're saying is because there's nothing on a map today that indicates where Carrolltown is. We can, by census records and all, we know where it's located. But if somebody wants to say, well, how far away is it? Where is it? Now, Phyllis, you want to weigh in on that?
Okay, we're talking about the distance. Is that?
well, my question more is do these families and their George Carroll's property originally, is that where Carrolltown was located? Or is Carrolltown someplace nearby?
Carrolltown fits within that border between Kingstown Village Parkway and Old Telegraph Road. So the pieces of property that were sold to each of these other family members, they're all right there.
Okay.
They were all adjacent to each other.
So it's his property that actually became Carrolltown.
Yes.
So does the nearby refer to nearby the sign? Is that the reason for using nearby?
Yes.
Ah,
The original sign talked about the parkway, and we felt that that was not as important as to know the families that were there.
mhm.
And who knows what the parkway, because I'm always thinking about a sign that could be there for 50 years, and who knows if that parkway would still be called Kingstown. It's possible they could change it. So we could say here, the prosperous community, Carrolltown, was developed, let's see, the prosperous community, Carrolltown, developed here, which developed here consisted of numerous extended families. The prosperous community, Carrolltown, which developed here consisted of numerous extended family units. Does that make it clearer?
You can drop the which developed. I mean, and just
Okay. The prosperous
Carrolltown
community, Carrollton, developed
here.
here. That developed here consisted of, just take out nearby. All right, let me get that straight again. The prosperous community, Carrolltown, that developed here consisted of numerous extended family units.
Just drop that as well.
Okay? The prosperous community, Carrollton, developed here. I think we still need that, Barbara.
Okay.
Well, read it. If it's without it says the prosperous community, Carrollton, developed here consisted of. I think that needs to be there.
I'm good with it.
Okay, all right. Okay. Are there any other suggestions?
I wonder if you might want to consider these instead of numerous. The prosperous community Carrolltown that developed here consisted of these extended family units.
That's okay with me. Phyllis?
Just so that
That's okay.
just to connect that sentence with.
Okay, that sounds like.
Yes.
Are there any others? Because I want to read this back to you before we vote on it.
Sorry,
Are there any other-
remove.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. We were getting in the weeds. That's fine.
So cool.
Esther, you're muted.
Have we counted the words?
I can't do it right now, but I mean, because I don't have this up on my tool count, but,
Here, I can do that probably.
okay. I think we're down to 104 if I'm correct, not counting the title,
Down.
which is fine. The 100 words is an estimate. I can remember doing one with Jack, we were up to 106 words. So are we ready for me to read it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to go slowly to make sure I've gotten it correctly. Carrolltown, between 1899 to 1903, George Carroll purchased 121 acres adjacent to the original 10 acres bequeathed to him by Dennis Johnston, owner of his mother, Jane. By 1918, Carroll had sold 51 acres to family, including the Kelly, Baker, Carter, Harris, Herod, and Carroll families. The prosperous community Carrolltown that developed here consisted of these extended family units. These families who were committed to the community's success donated lumber from Carrollton to build both the Laurel Grove School and church. Children from Carrollton attended the school. George Carroll was a respected community member, a licensed business owner, and a trustee at the Laurel Grove School.
Church.
Church.
What?
You said school, Laurel Grove School.
It's the church. He was a trustee of the church.
Yes, that's what. If you, I'm sorry, if you, I didn't hear, whoops, what happened? If you dropped the both or not, if you drop both, you got 103 words. If both is still in there, it's 104.
We dropped it.
Did you? I lost track of that when I wasn't sure.
Okay. All right. I think we discussed it and I forgot it. So I'm
Yeah, that's okay. No, I wasn't sure actually how you read it. I was just, as I was looking at my screen, I was just noting it.
Okay. It's okay with me to drop both. Phyllis, are you okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just a word count.
That's all right.
That's all right.
So should I read it again?
No,
No.
All right.
I want to thank the two of you for working it out.
I want to thank everybody because this is my first time.
Documents. Sorry. Yeah, okay. But you know, and could see that the other sign, you know, does have a couple of errors, including you know, the lack of evidence that Carroll ran a general store. Also, the property never went to his mother. So you know, I can appreciate the need for the corrections.
You did. There we go. Now you can hear me.
Mhm.
Okay. Why is this doing this to me? There, okay. All right. So I will make a motion to the History Commission in the first week in February. I will read the marker as is and ask for any discussion, and then ask for someone to second it. So somebody from the committee, I hope, will volunteer to do that. Esther, you're usually pretty good at doing that for us.
No problem.
Okay. Now, the funding, this all will be coming from the History Commission because this is redoing the original marker. In doing this, I had to investigate two things. Could we possibly use the pole of the marker that's being taken down? Do we need to have a completely new marker? If we have to have a completely new marker with the pole, the company that is now installing for us, would there be an extra charge? So I'm not going to go over this all with the History Commission, but I just thought I'd explain it to you that the old pole and marker has to be taken down. The company doesn't want it back, so the company that is going to do the installation will dispose of the marker. Okay.
Question.
Yes.
Why can't we use the old pole?
The old pole is set in concrete, and
Right.
there's concern that it's been there since 2003, I believe. Bending, whatever, that the weather might have, caused it. The people are putting it in, and the Siwa Studios are concerned at when you try and use it again, it may not work. So to me, if altogether it's only going to cost us $200 more to get the new pole with the new installation. So I made the decision, just do it all. Okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So the web signs people will go and remove the old sign and dispose of it. Then they have to come back and pour new concrete, put the new pole in. That has to sit for a week. And then they come back and put the top on to the new marker. So it makes 3 trips for them rather than 2. So they're charging $900 for it rather than the original, which was $350. So it will bring up the total funding to $2920, okay, which we are currently charging a total of $2,700 for the entire marker and installation. So I think rather than explain all that at the History Commission, just say because of the increased cost of removal, etc., it will add $220 to the cost. Does that sound reasonable to state it that way?
Sure.
State the total cost.
Yes,
Then if there are questions,
right. Answer,
explain it that way.
right,
Yes.
okay.
And
Right.
there's
Go ahead.
money for maintenance in our marker budget.
Yes, according to Elise, I do not know how much that budget is, but she says there is enough. So do I have a motion that we will ask the History Commission for $2920 to carry forth with this new marker installation, etc.?
I'll make that motion, but Mary, does that come with the marker wording? Is that all one motion?
That's no. Well, I'm going to do 2 motions.
Okay,
We do the first motion to accept the text. And the second motion is to ask for funding. And in this case, the History Commission has to fund it all rather than we, in other cases have been asking applicants to pay half.
Okay. So
Okay.
that motion is, I move that the commission fund the Carrolltown marker in the amount of $29.20.
Correct. And do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, that was Barbara.
Barbara,
Oh,
yeah. Do you
yeah.
think there will be any pushback over the fact that we are redoing it?
It should be.
There shouldn't be, because this has been on the works for
Okay.
about 5 years.
And this is one of the most important things we do.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm good with that. I just, I don't know where all the rest of the commissioners stand on it or
Yeah.
their understanding of the errors. I mean, I was shocked when I first read how much of the original marker was incorrect. I mean, having just gone through the James Lee Center marker, which apparently had been in the works for years and years, and working through all of the documents and getting people on board. I mean, I'm just sort of dumbfounded that we managed to produce a marker that was that incorrect.
Well, that's a mystery to both Phyllis and me. Phyllis, I don't know if you want to address anything.
It's been a long process, knowing that it was incorrect, and then trying to figure out whether or not it could be corrected. But it was done, like Mary said, back in 2003, and the person that actually did it was on the History Commission at that time.
And I think possibly as they were looking at the materials, I think that they interpreted George Carroll's business license as saying merchant as being a general store owner. That's the way I interpreted it. And there's no proof he grew tobacco, and the license said both merchant and tobacco in the same two, in the area. So I think he was a merchant selling tobacco, but not a general store owner, and possibly they just inferred incorrectly. I don't know.
Mary, I can give you, if you have, did you look at the census records?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. In all of those census records, including his death certificate, he always describes himself as a farmer.
Exactly.
Never refers to himself as a general store owner or a merchant. And
right.
He may have had it. I think at one point there's like a mention of a truck farm.
Right.
So he might have had a huckster's license,
Yeah.
But,
yeah. So I think it was an error in interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
All right. What I
will and I think it's important that that we're not caught between different community views of something, that we're and that we're not just kind of sliding back and forth between two different perspectives or ideas about what happened. That we really have clear evidence of an error, and that we're correcting that error. To speak to Barbara's point, I think that's it's one thing to I think that's a legitimate basis on which to to change it, rather than sometimes you get shifting kinds of points of view about something, and there really isn't clear evidence one way or the other. It just sort of depends on which faction of the community is trying to describe it, and so I don't think we're dealing with that kind of thing here.
There is clear evidence to what you're saying. So, Mary, did they give an estimate on how soon it could be ready or installed?
Very good question. The company always says between 8 to 12 weeks.
Sure.
Okay, so I won't be able to send them the order until after the History Commission meeting in February. So you're talking up to 3 months after that. Then from the time that we get information, we rely upon the sign company. I first go to the government center to check it out. I mean, I want to make sure that what we ordered is what we got. Okay.
Right.
All right. And so then once I give the order to the facilities management, they contacted the vendor. The vendor goes from there. It could be, depending upon weather and his schedule, 2 to 3 weeks after that. So
we're talking spring.
I'm thinking maybe
Summer.
May or June. Yeah.
So we could have it rededication, maybe.
Yes, yes. So
Because we may all be vaccinated by then.
let's hope so. Yes, I got my. I am registered, and I got a 3:30 a.m. phone call telling
What?
me I was registered.
I'm registered, but no appointment.
No, I don't have an appointment, but my husband and I registered at the same time, and so we don't know who they were calling and who they were texting because it's the same phone number and et cetera. But one came at 10:20 in the evening, and the other one came at 3:30 in the morning, the next morning. And
Were you expected to be awake and answer it at 3:30?
I don't know. So,
Okay.
but so we got texts, emails, and phone calls all telling us to be patient. So,
Okay, well, I mean, my husband got his on Sunday, but I'm registered. I haven't gotten my middle of the night text message, thank goodness.
well, it is something else. So, all right. Well, I want to thank all of you, and we'll move forward as more markers come in. I know Carol is working on a marker for Pleasant Grove. And
Get it to you. I'll get it to you.
Carol, there is no pressure from me. I have plenty to keep me busy. Okay.
There is from the church.
Okay. And so we'll work on with that. Phyllis and I are working with West Springfield High School history students who will be starting to do interviews of African American residents of the county. So we're really excited about that. And Cheryl, I'm going to ask you a question. Tomorrow, will you do the intro for our meeting on the Civil War trails?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, all right, with that, can we close out this meeting? All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, Denise. Well, I think
Thank you, Denise.
Thank you, Denise.
We
Thank
owe
you.
you.
Welcome, all of you.
Okay, all right. Oh, I will send everybody a copy, just so that you get a look at it before I present it to the History Commission. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Mary, thanks, Phyllis.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.